evening. Welcome to the Heart of a Pastor podcast, where real conversations meet real ministry. We're so happy to be with you today, and we're so happy that you decided to join us. We know that you could be doing anything, and just the fact that you're joining us live or you're joining us later on, we appreciate and we thank you. We're under the flagship of Eagles Rising Initiative, where we are raising up a new breed of leaders and visionaries that can leverage the pain of their past and their presence to teach, to train, and transform their communities. And we're just so excited to have this conversation and to dig deep into today's episode. We're going to have a wonderful time. I just can't wait to talk to our special guest, my friend Robyn Garcia. She is the founder and executive director of Worth Fighting For, a nonprofit dedicated to bringing love and hope to the addicted, abused, exploited. Robyn's passion for ministry and her heart for restoration are transforming lives in communities worldwide. Welcome, Robyn. We're so happy to have you.
Well, thank you, Lisa, for having me. It's a joy to be here tonight and also to be your friend. I love what you're doing, just ministering to pastors and really people in the ministry. And so it's great to connect with you. And I know last week you had your daughter on, and I'm sure that was amazing. And I haven't had a chance to watch it. And then a couple of weeks ago, I was on with you. I was watching live, and you do a fabulous job communicating and just really sharing the love of Christ. And so I want to thank you on behalf of, I'm just one person, but there's many viewers who watch this, and you really bring inspiration and hope and healing to so many. So thank you. I know I've known you for years, and you have gone through a traumatic situation, and really you didn't stop doing what you were doing or who you were. You just kept going. And, I know you took a pause, to heal and such, but it's your life is just a beautiful story of the grace of God. And so thank you for having me today. It's an honor to be here.
You're so welcome. I'm here to tell you, I was thinking this evening before you came on, I'm like, I'm glad to have her on the show, but I'm wondering, how come we haven't had lunch and hooked up? It's so long. I don't know why, but we got to do that, girl. We have absolutely got to do that.
Absolutely.
I miss you. I truly miss you.
You too, Lisa.
Let's say hi to some of our friends that are joining in. Doreen Parker out of Sacramento. Hey, girl. So
Hello.
good. Thank you for joining us. Want to say hello to Patricia Ann out of California, Southern California. Oh my goodness, Robyn, your friend and mine, Norma.
Hi, Norma.
Thank you for joining us. And Brittany.
Oh,
let's go, Pastor Robyn.
I love Brittany. She's like a source of, she's like a shot of encouragement and a shot of love wherever she goes. She brings just so much joy. She's a fun friend and a fun mom. I love that girl.
Well, welcome, Brittany. And good evening to Felicia.
Oh.
Out of Las Vegas, Nevada. She's got a women's conference coming up. We're going to be advertising that.
That's exciting.
Yes. And we want to remind everybody that this is National Women History Month. And that's one reason why I wanted to pull together. I've had women on the show before, so it's not unusual to have women. But this month, we are dedicating for women in ministry and talking to women in ministry. And in May, we're going to dedicate it to mental health awareness. I'm going to talk about that subject. But so I was thinking about people that I know that are out there on these streets, y'all, doing stuff for the people. And as a woman representing, and that is exactly what Robyn has done. Like she said, we've known each other for a long time. She has been a wonderful example of ministry. She has been what the Bible says, steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that her labor is not in vain. And she's an amazing individual. So Robyn, I know about Worth Fighting For, but I know there's some people that are watching today that may not know about Worth Fighting For. So can you first of all tell us about Worth Fighting For?
Absolutely. Worth Fighting For was basically birthed years ago. I'm going to say like over 30 years ago. My great friend Denise Goulet and I got together and really she told the Lord, if I had, one prostitute that I could work with and help transform and dedicate, time into her life, bring it and I'll take care, I'll really be faithful with the seed that you give me. And so the Lord had brought someone into her path. The girl shows up at church, and really that was the birthing of Worth Fighting For. Oh my gosh, I mean, 30, 25 to 30 years ago, we used to have support groups because the one girl came in because she was in a desperate situation, and she had, she was a very friendly girl, and she had friends that had been, taken their lives or killed in the process of being in a sexual relationship, or, being trafficked or exploited. And so she had come in with a really heavy heart into church, and she's just like, I need to turn my life over to God. And so at that moment, she connected with Pastor Denise, and then from there, it just flourished into something that grew into a Bible study. We would do a Bible study on Saturday afternoons, and we'd have upwards of 30 girls, whether they were actually in the industry or they were dancers, strippers, escort girls, call girls. I mean, there's so many different varieties of how they called themselves during those times, but basically they were all being exploited and trafficked. And we would have Bible studies with them, and we went through the Thou Art Loose book, and we would just go through different Bible study books and just ask God, because neither one of us were counselors. We just had big hearts for people, these girls that were loved and, lost and needed somebody to love them and encourage them and believe in them and bring hope and healing. And so that's kind of where we started years ago. And through the years, it's evolutionized. We've worked with a lot of different agencies as far as getting them counseling and different resources that these women would need. Over the years, I think, Lisa, one year we went, I'm thinking we were in Geneva, and we went on the streets of Geneva. You were with me and Pastor Denise. There was a group of, I think, about 10 of us. I think we had Annie Lobert with us as well from
Yes.
Jesus.
Yep.
And we saw the girls that were basically in store windows that were dancing, and it was horrific. It was really sad.
Yeah.
That wasn't it wasn't the first time we'd seen that, and it's probably still happening today. But we're making a difference. We're making an impact. And so we've revolutionized. I don't want to say revolutionized. We evolved, I should say, is probably a better word. Working with a lot of those girls, we discovered that there's so much help that they really need. A lot of them have been abused, they've been abandoned, or basically orphans at some state in their life. And so there's so many different situations that they have encountered, or maybe they're even addicted to different drugs. So we would see these different attributes that were they were involved, that were actually heavy on them. And so just to work with the traffic girls, it was like, oh my gosh, no, we want to help those also that have been abandoned, have been abused. And so we just kind of opened up our tent peg, because they bring in their friends, and they were, not maybe that category. So we, that they hadn't gone through that one situation, but maybe a different traumatic situation in their life. And so we opened up our span to really reach out to those going through traumatic situations. And so that's what we're doing now. Pastor Denise is, she's very heavily involved in prophetic ministry. I believe she does a daily hour of prayer podcast. And so that's really exciting. She's not involved in the Worth Fighting For. And I've linked with so many different partnerships here in the city of Las Vegas and beyond. I mean, there's so many great resources if we really connect that are available to these girls. And so I love our mayor's faith initiative that is going on here in the city of Las Vegas,
Yes,
and
yes, yes,
whole
yes.
department that well, just faith department, but then they have one for human trafficking, and so they're doing a fabulous job. And so it's really, really neat to be a part of that group, to be a part of the city. I mean, I work with First Choice. I work with can't think of the other one, the Women's Resource Center, but they just changed their name. I think it's called
Oh,
All
did
Life.
they?
Yeah, I think it's called All Life. So it's
Wow.
yeah.
Hmm.
I think they just turned 40 years old, and so
Wow.
yeah. But so I link with a lot of different resources here, a
Yeah.
lot of sober living homes,
Yeah.
a lot of counseling, different things, and counseling centers. And it's really neat to see what Las Vegas is offering to those who have been, abused or really in traumatic situations. And so I love it. I love being there to help people, to love them, to nurture them. And that's kind of where we've evolved to.
Yeah. I mean, wow. Yeah, you have evolved tremendously in a lot of ways. And it's amazing to see who you've touched and who you impact. Because even I talked to Leonard Janice, my son-in-law, my daughter, and she had said how you had come down to the house of prayer and reached out to the community there. And your span is far reaching. I know you for years have done things to raise uh, uh, items for babies and so many people that needed things that didn't have it. I mean, and I'm not talking about just a blanket. I'm talking furniture. I'm talking, it's just amazing what God
Yeah.
has used you to do, Robyn. I mean, I know it must do your heart so much good to know that.
One of the one of the
Yes,
ex-
you're the
one of
best
the
for the job. You're the best for the job, Pastor Robyn. You have a huge and beautiful heart. You're right, Brittany. She does. She really
Oh,
does.
thank you. It was really fun. I just started doing this probably about a year ago. So you mentioned something about I have a lot of resources. Um, One of the things, I do have a partnership with a company out of New York. It's called Delivering Good, and they basically are a funnel for me, and they give me brand new, I'm talking brand new, top of the line items. I know that I've had semis full of Michael Kors. I can't even think of all the brand names right now. Patagonia, um, Ralph Lauren, but brand new clothing that we've
Mhm.
distributed over the last 4 years throughout the city of Las Vegas, and it's been a joy. And then prior
Yeah.
to that, I'm going to say for probably at least 22 years, we've had this baby convention that comes to town, and we've been able to be their the charity of choice. And actually, Pastor Aaron Hansel, he's out of ICLV. He was actually the person that was the go to before me, and then he launched and did some different things, and then I took over. And we get this baby furniture from the convention, and it's brand new, so they don't want to pay for it to be shipped back to their warehouse. So what they do is they donate it to this charity of choice, and we've had
Mhm.
that contract for so many years, and so every year we continue to do it. Matter of fact, this May, um, we're doing it again. I have Linda Holland with the Dream Center. She's heading it up. She's going
Wow.
for it. Yep. It's not really me. It's Delivering Good that's partnering with her, but I'm part of that as well. And so it's really neat. This year I will not be there, but I'm really excited to still be a part of it in a different way. So and so we get these resources like the cribs, strollers, and I'm talking beautiful, like
Yes.
items. The clothing is beautiful clothing. Like I could probably never afford some of these dresses that I see that they give us from Ralph Lauren Polo. It was so fun. I think it was I don't remember. It was a few months back, maybe 6 months. I'm not really good on time, like telling, like 6 months ago, like I'm not, but I know it was in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to go to one of the houses, actually two of the houses, but I'm going to tell this one, that where the girls they minister to the exploited girls, the girls who've been trafficked. And I brought these dresses. It was like, I go, I'm just going to bring them all these dresses. And I brought them all these dresses. And some of those dresses, they were lambskin. They were beautiful, like these beautiful brown. And they were like all different kinds of dresses, but they were just gorgeous. And so I brought them into the office and they go, oh, can we show the girls? And I go, show them. I said, I want a fashion show. And so those girls were so excited. They were just like, it was just such a joy to see, they go, we haven't had anything like this nice in a while. And I mean, some of them put them on and we're going to wear this to our, cousin's wedding or whatever. And so it was so beautiful to be a part to see that. Cause a lot of times I just work with the agency. So I'll just work with, let's say, the Dream Center, and I'll, distribute, maybe 10 pallets of stuff or whatever, or I'll work with, one of the homes. And so I'll give it to the staff and I'll never see the girls. So that day was really special, to be able to see the joy on their faces and just the excitement that they had from getting, something brand new that nobody else wore. Because I tell you what, Lisa, my head goes crazy. I work with this agency. It's called, I hope this is okay. Is this okay?
Yeah, let's flow. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I work with this agency called Shine the Light.
Yeah.
And they go in the tunnels. And so
my goodness.
They go Saturday morning, they bring groups. So we're going to pick a Saturday where Worth Fighting For is going to go out there again. We went before as a group, but we're going to go out there again. And it's 8:00. We meet at their headquarters. And they go in the tunnels. We have, I believe it's 600 miles of tunnels where people live in them. And I know at one time it was like 18 to 2,100 people live in them. And so we went in them. And so it was crazy because when we go in those tunnels and they're like living in them. They have beds, couches, and they have that's their house. They're living underneath there. And so they go in there, Shine the Light goes in there, and they offer some resources to help them get sober living homes and apartments and get medical exams and all that. They have a whole program. They do an excellent job.
Yeah.
And so we sometimes go and I'll get these coats from Patagonia or I'll get them from Ralph Lauren Polo. And they're like these big puffy, like really nice, warm. And these jackets are like $600-$700. They're beautiful. Like they're nice. And so we'll go in and we'll put like 5 jackets on. So we'll have the extra, extra large all the way down to, our size. And then we'll just kind of go about, the community wherever we happen to land with whoever's taking us on the outreach that day. And we just start taking off coats and giving them away to the people that are in need. And so that's been such a beautiful thing, to be able to do that. And so, it's crazy. I mean, sometimes I'll be at Walmart. I'll just today's my Walmart day. I don't usually shop at Walmart because I don't have one by me, but I know if I go to Walmart, I can always pretty much find somebody in need. So I'll go to the baby section, and I'm going to say probably about a month ago, I was at the baby section, and I don't have really, my resources are gone. I've given all the baby stuff away. I said the convention's coming in May. And so that's when everything will be, we'll get a fresh shipment, but I really don't have anything left. And so I see this girl and her husband, boyfriend, I don't know what their relationship was, but she's pregnant and she's looking and she's just like, oh my gosh. Like this is costing a lot. So I'm, hearing like, oh man, they're going to need this. I don't even know everything they're going to need. So she's talking. And so I go up to her, I said, oh, are you pregnant? She's like, yes. And I go, oh, how exciting. I said, would you mind if I gave you something? And I said, I actually have something that I could give you that I think you would find useful. I said, I'm not a weirdo. I said, I actually, back in December, a few months back, I'd given a crib and a stroller to a lady that I saw here pregnant. I said, I'd love to go take you to my storage and see what I could find if there's anything you would need. And she asked, it was her husband. It ended up being her husband. And so they came down and literally we filled up their car with some stuff. And it was just beautiful. It was like he ended up being in the service. He was telling him that he works for Nellis and the class he was, and he wasn't having a lot of work. They'd just gotten pregnant. They were, trying to figure out everything.
Yeah.
I was like, how beautiful. What a great, you know, I try not to, I don't want to exploit people by taking their pictures more because I don't want to, but I was like so excited to see the joy. And I just gave him these big blue IKEA bags and I was throwing stuff in there. And so it's just fun. Like I feel like Santa Claus all the time. I work with Siegel Sweets, Siegel Care. They have an
Yeah.
agency. Yeah, they're awesome. They actually, one of the questions you had asked me earlier, you had sent some questions over, and one of the things you had asked me is like, what are some of the you didn't say hardships, but you were like, what are some of the needs or challenges, I think is what you said, that you have. And one of them is resources. And Siegel Sweets actually came through and they gave me this room because we have to pay for storage. And
Yes, and
storage.
that's always been a struggle for you. Yeah, I
Oh
remember way back when. It's always
yeah.
been.
So warehouses, I know Pastor Linda from the Dream Center is looking for a warehouse right now. And, but they gave us this beautiful room, this room where we ended up putting all the strollers, cars and car seats in there. And it was so cool. But then they also, I said, hey, if there's anybody that in this community where we were storing the stuff, or any of your staff that needs something, have them fill out the form, have them come see me, and we will make sure that they're taken care of. Oh my gosh, what a joy to be able to give to the people of Siegel Suites. I mean, Stephen and Judy are just so kind and so generous with, giving us that space, because it probably could have cost, just that space they'd given us, probably about $2,000 a month for the space that they'd given us to rent something of that size. And, they let us have it for several months, and it was just beautiful. It was just a beautiful thing. So to be able to give nice, brand new things away, that's been really, really, really fun. So
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
really,
Oh
yeah,
my goodness. Yeah. I wanted to highlight what Felicia said. This is true ministry, out of the pulpits and four walls of the church and going out to the hedges and the highways, compelling men to the Lord. Absolutely, Felicia. It is. It truly is. And you have
yeah.
been doing this, like you said, for years. But I wanted to ask you this question. Well, I want to tell everybody before we get deeper in, we're talking about walking with confidence in your calling and leading outreach and evangelism and all this. It's all together because Robyn does all of this. She does all of this. You're just everywhere, Robyn, and you're just making a difference. And you're not even talking about what your husband does and how you help and support him. But we're just talking about this today. But we're gonna have to have him on here one day too, because he
Yeah.
does a great thing for the kingdom as well. But I wanted to ask you, when Pastor Denise decided to kind of like separate and move into what she's doing now,
Mm-hmm.
what compelled you, or what was your defining moment to say, I can do this? This is
Mm,
mine now. God is calling me. What really let you know? Because sometimes, we don't really know.
yeah. I think for me is I thought back at that moment. I'm not going to say at that moment, but through the years, just knowing the first girl that we had met, like her
Mhm.
story, and now it makes me cry.
Yeah.
Um, it ripped my heart out. She was struggling with addiction.
Yeah.
She'd been exploited and abused, and more than anything, I knew that she needed to be valued and she needed to be loved and she needed to find a friend that believed in her when she couldn't believe in herself. And
Mhm.
so she needed somebody to be there just to love her unconditionally. And so to be her cheerleader, her friend, and someone to walk through with her through those rough waters. And trust me, they were rough. She was, I believe it was meth addict, and it was hard for her. Like she fell so many times, like went back to it. And, now 30 years later, she's like, oh my gosh, you're still my friend. You stick with me. Even when you knew I was using, you didn't give up on me. When I used the grocery money for, whatever, drugs, rather than, she goes, you still loved me. You didn't push me away. You kept believing in me. And so I think for me is just knowing that, seeing the transformation in that one girl has allowed me to keep going. And seeing her now today, like she's done, like, she works with people who are in need, not even exploited, but just people. She's almost like a counselor. I don't know if she went to school, but I know she went to a lot of training. Like she's not a certified counselor, like a professional counselor, but she counsels people with some of the training that she's received. And she does like these vision and dream meetings and seminars that she really just gives people hope. And it's been really, really neat to see her grow and evolve and become an incredible woman, an upstanding, citizen in Las Vegas. And so I think just seeing that and seeing, her move forward in that has been amazing. And so she's just one of many. And so, but I think just knowing that there are people out there that are still hurting and lost, that's like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
I continue to move on. I'm going to love the people of Las Vegas and beyond, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody that's listening on here and will listen later because a large audience comes later, um, have struggled, are struggling, or will struggle with what God has them here for, why I'm here. I mean, as
Yeah.
a coach and a mentor myself, that's what I get a lot of time. I don't know my purpose. I don't know what I'm here for. I don't know my calling. And I try to do it and doors aren't opening and this isn't happening. And I don't even know if, what I'm here for. And so I wanted to ask you if you could kind of like give us something to help us overcome self doubt and to walk boldly in God's authority.
Lisa, you're like on the target, overcoming self-doubt and walking in, what God has called each one of us, and walking in that authority and not like handing it off or just being shy and really giving the enemy territory. But I think one of the things that has really helped me overcome is, in Proverbs 3, where it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. He doesn't trust in the Lord with part of your heart. All your heart means all your heart. So if I'm going to trust God, I have to give him my whole heart, like everything about me, and lean not on your own understanding. Now, my understanding would say, stay in the house. Don't go in the tunnels to help people. You could, I've had the enemy tell me some lies and crazy things. And so if I started to lean on those things and, not do a lot of the things that I really love to do. I'm very adventurous, and I love to be out there. But not leaning on my own understanding, but acknowledge him, and he will direct my paths. My path, which is actually goes into paths. I just remind myself continuously to keep my mind renewed, to take out the negative thinking, to fight those crazy thoughts when, the enemy's in telling me you're the only woman that's ever been through this. You're a pastor, and what would people think if they really knew the real you?
Mm-hmm.
I had gone through I call it secret pain, private pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you've heard my story about having the abortion, and I had kept it quiet for so many years. And it was like the enemy kept telling me, oh no, if you tell them now, because now by the time where I was feeling like, gosh, this, it just keeps pulling me away and not allowing me to do really what I want to do. Like I want to be
Mm-hmm.
free and just be able to communicate and talk about whatever I want to talk about. Not, oops, if I share that, they're going to think less of me. And so when I finally, I'm going to say, hit the rock like Moses, and I was like, okay, I'm done with this. And I
Yeah.
stopped listening to the lies of the enemy. It was like, oh my gosh, this is who
Mm-hmm.
God I almost felt like a dam in my life had broken, and even generationally, because one of the things that the enemy would tell me was, if you start walking in this call that God, you're saying that God has for you, about the abortion that you had, your daughters are going to grow up and they're they were like 12 and 11 and 12 years old. If you tell them about this, they're going to be sexually promiscuous. And I was like, oh my God, I don't
Yeah.
want that. And so,
Yeah.
but it was like the Lord was like, he told me, I literally had an encounter. This is the craziest story. It was the year that, it was actually 2 nights before Evander Holyfield's ear got bitten. You remember?
Yeah.
So his wife, Dr. Holyfield, she was his wife then, she was a strong Christian lady, and she came to our church, and she was prophesying over all these people, and like all this, I'd never seen anything like it. And so I
Mhm.
listened, like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. How does she know that about, and I'm looking at all this. How does she know that about them? Well, at the very end of the night, she says, hey, can I pray for you? So she prays for me. I get rocked. And when I got rocked, I'm telling you, I was in this room crying. It was our chapel, and it had metal. It was a metal building, and I can hear my grief from 16 years of carrying that private pain shaking in the walls. And I laid there, and I was like, and the Lord spoke to me there, and he said, I will share with you who to share this with and when to share that. And I was like, okay, that's simple. Well, one of the lies that I'd listened to, you want to talk about doubt, was I was I believed that I was the only one that had ever had an abortion. And I was the only one in the church that had ever had an abortion.
Oh,
I was not only the only one in the church that had an abortion, but I was like a woman pastor leader. And so I was like, what would the people think of me, kind of thing? Or, so I had a lot of doubt, fear, and insecurity at the time. And it was crazy. The first 7 people I shared that I'd had an abortion, every single one of them had it. And these were people in the church. And I was like, wait, what?
come
What?
on. Yes.
That
Come
dirty.
on.
And, but I just felt like, oh my gosh, here I'd been in bondage. I felt like I had those chains, those ball and chains around my ankles. And I'd go to get close to something, and it'd pull me away. And
Yeah.
so I had to, take out the word of God where it says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. He gave me the strength to share my story, to tell my daughters, to tell,
Mm.
you know, ripe old age. And thank God, to this day, each one of them walked down, the aisle as virgins. And it's just, thank you, Jesus, because the enemy, told me something different. And so,
Amen.
yeah, I just pull out, the words that God has given me and the prophetic promises, and I just began to fight with them, and move forward that way. And so this doubt, I have to continuously renew my mind, put on the belt of truth and the breastplate of righteousness, and those feet, put them new shoes on. I mean, sometimes I would be like, okay, I got to go buy a new outfit because I'm feeling, a little cray cray right now in my mind. And then it was like, oh no, this is what we got. This is where we're going. This is what we're doing. And so it's
Mhm.
really, for me, is when I get the doubt or even fear to walk in really what God has for me. I just remind myself of his promises and rehearse them over and over in my mind and in my heart.
That is so good because the devil is such a liar. He
Yeah.
will have you believe in all the hype. You're like, oh God, Lord.
Yeah.
He's
It's not,
good. He's good. But we are equipped. We
yes,
are
we are.
equipped. We are more than conquerors. What has been some of the biggest challenges in leading an outreach ministry, and how have you navigated them? What has been
Um,
some of the biggest challenges?
the biggest challenges. Well, I think for any ministry, I'm going to say time and money, and for me also space. obviously our mission is to bring hope and healing to the exploited, the abused and abandoned, and those in traumatic situations. But we're just one of many entities that actually, do this. There's so many great, I mentioned this before, entities here in Las Vegas. So walking alongside someone by their side, there's so much time that actually takes. I mean, you find one girl who's been exploited, or you find that one girl who's a runaway, or boy, whatever, and you find them, and to walk with them. It's not just, hey, let me give you a hamburger or let me give you a jacket and then it's over. No, there's a process, that actually that takes place. And it's not, you can't even really say it's a week, a day, or whatever. So sometimes, I told you at the beginning, there's somebody that I've been friends with for 30 years. And so now, it's neat to see her, moving forward and sharing the love. So time, it takes time. I mean, a lot of time. I work a full-time job right now, in addition to the different, ministry fun things that I do, because I think it's fun to go out and be amongst these people. So it's time, and then money. I mentioned also earlier, I mean, it costs to do these things. Gas, just for like the conventions that we do, to get the product to the different places that it needs to go, the different families, the different situations. That takes a lot of space, as far as storage costs, and just gas money to get the, whether we're renting a U-Haul and taking it from here to there. It takes a lot of resources. And so it's really neat when we have those generous donors that come in and say, hey, we own a storage unit, we're going to give it to you. And so I had a great resource there. And then last year we also had a construction company that gave us their warehouse. And so money is huge. I mentioned Siegel Suites earlier. They gave us a space. And so there's a lot of costs that go up for that. I had a request from this girl who had been exploited, just the saddest story. And she's like, hey, just to get through the next month, she's like, I need $2,500. And I'm like, oh, I don't have $2,500. This was to pay her bills or her things that had piled up, and to get back on top of things. And so they add up a lot. And so resources is definitely a challenge as well. Financial.
I mean, it's really definitely much more than I think people even realize, because I remember the times I have had the opportunity to serve and support you guys. I mean, you're talking about, you need manpower, volunteers, you need so much. And so what I was thinking as you were talking about it, being dumbfounded when I would come to help or work with the giveaway for the all the things for the children, the organization that it took for you to get all these volunteers, to take breaks, to have t-shirts, to have time scheduling. You didn't even mention that.
Yeah.
I mean, what you do takes so much structure, Robyn.
It does, Lisa.
It's amazing.
I have this, it's so funny. I think just relationship is huge. Like, people are great resources. I have this relationship with this young gal. Well, she's young, she's 40. And so her mother was actually part of our church years ago. And so she, reconnected, and she's like, hey, I have this, she works in a corporation, and she's like, we want to do something, a community project. So we want to take on Worth Fighting For. We want to do something for you. So I gave her a truckload, like a 25-foot box truck full of boxes, and they were from different stores. It was clothing, and they cut off all the tags, because we can't, nothing's to go resold. So they cut off all the tags, And it's so cool because she just called me like 2 weeks ago and she's like, hey, she goes, my kids need to do a community project. They need to volunteer for 8 hours. And she goes, I'm not with that company anymore, but if you have any boxes, I would love to have my kids and their friends come help you do that. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, that's awesome. We're getting ready for summer. It's summer stuff. And so I go, we're going to be getting ready for summer. So it would be absolutely, we're actually going to be donating a bunch of that stuff to Hope for Prisoners with John Ponder. And so I go, yeah, we would love you to come and grab those boxes to do that. And so it's a lot of labor and a lot of love that goes into all of it, really. And so
Yeah.
it's fun, but it is a challenge. And people that up
And
and say they will. And
Brittany said this earlier. Brittany said this earlier. She had a huge. I think we went over each other.
no, I didn't say anything. I didn't hear what
Yeah,
you
we
said.
froze for a moment.
What did you say?
Oh, okay. I was saying earlier, Brittany was saying that you had a huge, beautiful heart. And it's so true because you can't do this without a heart. I remember even for me, when I was doing different things, you would call me in and you would bless my organization and what I was doing and my efforts. And you just would surprise me and say, hey, Lisa, I want to do this for you. I want to be a blessing to you. And it's because you have such a big heart.
Oh,
That everybody isn't able. Everybody doesn't have it.
yeah.
Sorry.
I
Hey,
do. Maybe because I come from a big family. I'm one of 8. I don't know. We just had to make it work.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you do it, and you do it well.
Yeah.
I want to make a couple of announcements, and then I'm going to come back to you, and I'm going to let you kind of wrap up and just say anything that's on your heart
Okay.
about calling, about outreach.
Okay.
Um, okay, I'm gonna just do a couple of announcements. I want to first of all thank Holy Neighbor, my beautiful daughter Jessica Brown, for sponsoring tonight's even podcast. She's coming out with a new e-course, workbooks, and free resources available on March the 21st. And if you want to know more information on March 21st, you'll be able to go to holyneighbor.com because that is when she's launching this amazing mindset and breathing and just taking care of yourself mentally and physically and just really being a blessing to the kingdom and to your life and everything that you do. So we want to thank her for sponsoring us tonight, and we want you to please go over there and support her as she gets ready to do Holy Neighbor and launches that. I'm just really excited for her. I'm excited and I'm proud. Next week, we are so delighted to have Lisa Neal of Inspiring Hearts. If you know Leonard, my son-in-law, then you might have met his beautiful mother, Lisa Neal. She and I just had the privilege of going to Africa in September. We spent a month there ministering, and she just came back from Wichita, Kansas for like 2 weeks or something like that. I went with her for a week in Wichita, Kansas as well. It's beautiful, amazing people. And she has an amazing ministry. And I really want you guys to tune in next Tuesday evening to hear what she has to say. And also, I want to tell you, coming soon, real soon, we will have the Heart of a Pastor newsletter for our podcast, and we're really excited about it. And when I say real soon, I'm talking about the next few days. We're going to have that, and we really want you guys to be a part of it and to check in with it. We'll be putting all the information on the Eagles Rising Facebook page. If you want it, go ahead and direct message us your email, and we'll put you on our email list, and we will share that with you. We're so excited about everything we'll be doing because once again, we'll be reaching out to pastors, leaders, chaplains, community service leaders, first responders, everyone that helps, not necessarily the kingdom, but my philosophy, Robyn, is if you are living and breathing and God is breathe breath into your lungs, then whatever you do is ministry. I don't care if you work at 7-Eleven. If you go in with the heart of Jesus, you're doing it for ministry. So we really wanted to be able to minister to all the leaders in the community, whether it's politicians, whether it's first responders, whatever, because we want them to rise and to transform the community. So we're really excited about our Heart of a Pastor newsletter that's going to be coming out, because the Heart of a Pastor is just one part of Eagles Rising, of all that we do. We have a great big announcement coming out real soon, but we want to keep you on the edge of your seat, so we're not going to tell you. Hey, Jessica, thank you for joining us tonight. God bless you. Yeah, and sponsoring. We appreciate you so much. And we'll tell you this, we'll be having this in the newsletter, but I'll give you a little bit of it. We're going to start having Friends of Heart of a Pastor podcast. So if you just want to give us like a $10 donation, and I'm not saying a month, I'm saying just a $10 donation, it will help toward us continuing to stream, to be on this podcast, to grow. There's so much more we want to do. We're doing it with, like Robyn saying, meager resources. So we're just going to keep doing what we can do. But if we have these friends that give to us and bless us, because we are a nonprofit, we can expand and do even greater things for the kingdom with the Heart of a Pastor podcast, because we want to do, like I said, not just for pastors and ministers. We want to have Christian entrepreneurs on the show. We want to have a month just for Christian entrepreneurs, because we know they're out there and they need support too. So we just want to be the heart, because if you're not pastoring at a church, you're pastoring in your community, you're pastoring on the streets, you're ministering. You don't have to have a church to be ministering and blessing someone. So that's it. So we're going to go back to Robyn and tell us what's on your heart, Robyn. We're ready. We're all ears.
Oh my goodness. Well, I want to thank you, and also Jessica, just for, sponsoring tonight. It's been a joy to sit and chat. And really, I think, Lisa, talking to you tonight, I just want people to know that ministry is a high calling, and it's no joke. I mean, it's a lot of work. It's not in the pulpit, it's out on the streets, whether you're being a mom, a friend, whatever, a clerk at a store, or, a walking partner. That's ministry. So ministry is life. It's not just somebody from the pulpit. So y'all have so many different gifts. And I think my main thing that I would love to share, to end with, is God's given us each one gifts, and they're all different. When he created us, there's only one Robyn, there's only one Lisa, there's only one of us. And there's things that he has called each one of us to do. And if we walk in it, we'll be walking in the divine purpose that God has for us. And if we use those gifts, it's going to just be amazing. It's not going to sit we're not going to sit in the closet, and the gifts aren't going to sit in the closet. I love the story of the woman who had the jars of oil, and she pouring and pouring and pouring. And I love that, because for me, as soon as I give away something, like, I try not to keep anything in my storage. I try to give it away as fast as I can, because as soon as I give it away, I get something more, and I get more, and I get better. And so it's with the talents God has given it to us as well. If we start using those talents and those gifts that he's given, they're going to increase. They're going to get stronger. We're going to become more passionate. People are going to go, oh my gosh, I remember that Lisa. Oh my gosh, she's a great communicator. She can round up, she can network, she can, and so that would probably be my second thing, is surround yourself with good friends. Surround your, self with accountability and people in your life that are going to encourage and strengthen you. Joel and I have, a couple of couples that really, they speak the truth. They speak the hard things. They ask us hard questions, and it's not easy. It's not comfortable, but it's like, no, we want to grow. We want to, we don't want to be status quo, or or stagnant and stinky. And so finding, those relationships are really key. And the beautiful thing about it is they encourage us to do things that maybe was in our heart, but we're like, kind of afraid. And, I can tell my husband anything and he's going to love me and believe in me. And he's going to just tell me the raw truth. But when you hear it from somebody else and they're like, no, you really do have a gift in this. You really can do it. And you're like, Joel, you've been saying, Joel, I've said that to you the last 20 years. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess you're right. But it's really neat to have, not neat. It's so encouraging to have the accountable, relationships in our lives. And also the Sandpaper Sisters. I know, Lisa, we talk about the Sandpaper Sisters
Yeah.
and having that person in your life or persons that
Yeah.
are help you smooth the rough edges and really help you grow. And
Mhm.
one of my real mottos is have fun while you're doing it. I'll go into the tunnels. Should I be afraid? Maybe, I don't know, but I'm going to go have fun because I have 5 jackets on, and I'm going to go spread warmth and love and cheer. I got to tell you this one story. I went out there. I'm going to tell this gal, Pastor Tina Anna. We went out there. There was a group of us that went. And so we're walking, and I'm telling you, outside of the tunnel that we were at, there was like all these like bike parts. So it's just like just a bunch of it looked like junk. And so Pastor Tina goes, she's telling the leader, I want to come down here and I want to clean up and I want to. And he goes, okay, what's the first thing you would do? And she goes, see that pile of stuff, that bike stuff, all that. She goes, I'd get resources down here. We would throw it away and we just clean it up and there'd be nothing. And he goes, you're not going to believe this. He goes, that's almost like a bike store right there. He goes, there's parts in there that someone might need for their bike that's in there. And we're like, oh my gosh, we laughed and we thought this is so neat. But really, there's so many different things where she's real organized and real neat, and likes things orderly. But that's somebody's order. In their disorder, it's order. But having fun and celebrating the times after ministry has just been amazing. And every, the last, I think 2 or 3 Januaries I've gone to AVN, and this is crazy. It's the porn show. And I don't really share a lot about it because people, oh my God, you went to the porn show. We have a booth of people. We rent a booth and we go as dream interpreters / future forecasters. And basically we're prophesying, and we have a big deal. They spin the wheel and we give them, it says hope, it's a coordinating color. And then we give them a wristband and it might say love, hope, vision, dream. And we prophesy over their lives with that. Or if they have a dream, a reoccurring dream that they have, or even just a dream, we interpret the dream for them. And there's so many people that are exploited, both men and women. It's just, it's a sad. But I know I go with the gifts. I was talking about using the gifts. I go with the gift of love and encouragement and light that he's given me that I can bring into the dark places. Because we know what it says in Isaiah 60, arise and shine for the light has come. And the deep, deep darkness that covers the earth and the people. And so we go in there and, share that love and encouragement. And then, it's hard. After 2 hours, I have to tap out. I'm like, I'm done. I got to take a break, and I go, I decompress. I talk with somebody, I pray with somebody, and it's pretty intense. But as a group, as a collective group, everybody who was in the convention that day, we pray for each other at the end of the day. We gather and we thank God for the different, encounters that we've had. It was crazy because I was there in January, and the last day I was at the show, there were so many people that just kept coming to me and saying, can I just have a hug? Can you just hug me? You're like, I feel like you're a mom. And I just hugged them and I, loved on them. We call ourselves mother huggers. We hug people. And so it's funny. And so, but I think that's really, really, really important that we gather, at the end of the day and pray for each other, and we have fun while we're doing it. And so, that's probably my advice. Surround yourself with good friends, walk in what God's given you to do, and have a cheerleader, cheering you on. I love, Lisa, being around you. You're always go, 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 got a smile, and you're just saying, just do it. And so I
Mhm.
love it. And so I appreciate you. And I really want people to say, if there's one thing that you could change, one thing that a need that you see that you could actually feel, go and do it. Don't be afraid, just do it. And the reward is going to be endless and so fun.
Yes. Oh, wow. Yes. So true. So true. I want to shout out Pastor Mimi, Lord of the Harvest. Thank you for
Oh,
joining us this evening. God bless you. Yes, this has been so wonderful. Now, Robyn, I want you to stay right here when I say goodbye to everyone. I hope that you've enjoyed this evening. I hope you've been encouraged. I hope you have received insight and revelation and information. Robyn, whenever I think of you a lot when I'm just going about the way. You know why? Because I'll see several twos. I'll
uh,
see twos. And I'll think of you. Those are Robyn's numbers. And I think of her and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's
thank you.
Robyn.
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed tonight, we want you to share and to and please join us next week with Lisa Neal of Inspiring Hearts, and just continue supporting us and loving us, and keep your head focused and keep your gaze on Christ. Keep leading, keep serving, and keep your heart strong for the Lord. God bless you. Everybody have a good evening. See you next time. God
Bless
bless
you.
you guys.